What's up, everyone? Welcome to Level 7. It's time for the first show of 2023. I'm your host, TJ Zwarich, editor-in-chief of Agents of Fandom.com, ready to talk about some Bad Batch, ready to talk about some Ant-Man and The Wasp Quantumania, and debuting a new podcast script, a bit of a new format today. And so I just about said, talk about some new insert topic. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, director of content and editorial of agentsofandom.com, Garrett Blaney. How you doing?
Oh, what is up? I am stoked. I'm stoked to be back. It feels like this is the longest. Well, it has been the longest break we've ever taken, and man, it feels like it. So I'm just ready to get back and spend some time with you, spend some time with our guest, and maybe someone else. I don't know, TJ.
Let's get to it. In the background, we have our amazing producer, graphic designer extraordinaire, Ruben Rapalda, as well as Agent Adam Blevins behind the scenes on production as well for the new year. Big addition. There he is to the Agents of Fandom podcast. We've always been unorganized. We do a good job, but we've always been unorganized, and we need somebody here on the ball to rein us in sometimes and also just contribute to the conversation. So we got Adam in the background who's going to be joining us from time to time as well. Plus, we got a pretty awesome guest today. Anytime we're talking something Star Wars, especially if it's animated, we got to bring in our guy, Rob from Streamr. How you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great. It's honestly, it's a privilege. Thank you guys for bringing me on for the first episode back.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's Star Wars The Bad Batch. When it comes to this lore, your insight is top tier in the upper echelon of this industry, and so we need to bring in your knowledge. Plus, you're just a pretty good guy too, and we like hanging out with you.
Yeah, you're
make
pretty
sure he's all right. Make sure you're all following the Agents of Fandom on all the socials. If you're watching us on Twitch, make sure you make sure you're subscribed, hanging out with us, goof around in the chat. If you're watching this on YouTube later, make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, hit the like button, and you can find all the shows on the Agents of Fandom podcast network, including Fandom Academy, Ticket to Reality, Listen 3000, and of course us, the Agents of Fandom podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Shout out to the Fandom Academy crew. Their first podcast dropped this past week. They're going to be covering The Last of Us, Layla, CJ, Jaden. proud of this crew. I'm excited for them to dive in. I'm excited to listen and just enjoy this show without having to cover it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Also, the critics.
That has been updated since our new since I wrote my script as well. Shout out the critics, led by Isaac Joel, one of our writers, Ruben's go-to guy. He just had an awesome Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer reaction. They also just put up a review for Plane, which is such a funny title. But make sure you go check out Plane as well. And so
they really went deep in the bag of tricks for that one, right?
Yeah, right. They were just our friends at on Phase Zero. Jamie Girac and Nicole Drum were just joking about that one on their last episode as well, in the title of that plane. So make sure you check out our last episode of 2023, where we looked at our anticipation. We looked ahead for 2023 with our favorite stuff, with Nicole, with Jamie, with Rachel Leachman, and with Layla, of course, of the Fandom Academy podcasts. But it's time for our very first segment. Now, this isn't the typical order of this segment, because it's called TJ's Toolbox. Now, it's patterned after Fury's Toolbox, which is, of course, where Nick Fury keeps all of his secrets in the comics and in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And that's where we are going to do our theorizing. We are going to go into our minds, unlock our secrets, and theorize on what we think is going to be the future of some of these projects that we're covering. But today, we're not going to do that, because we're covering the Bad Batch, and we've seen the first 14 episodes. And so there's not a whole lot of theorizing we can do until the finale. So we'll get to that point more and more as we go. But for now, I want to switch it up today, and we're going to pitch to you why you should be watching The Bad Batch season 2, because the first was a lot of fun. The second, it's a big upgrade. This second season is a very big upgrade, not just from a quality character standpoint, but just from a story standpoint. Garrett, hit me with why should people be tuning into the Bad Batch season 2?
Okay, so I'm just going to talk about real quick. TJ, you and I, we kind of collaborated a little bit on your written review that we did for agentsofandom.com, which is up there. You can go see it and read that if you want to. But it took us, we went back and forth a little bit trying to figure out what's a good title for this review. You know, what's going to be SEO friendly, what's going to catch people's minds. And we settled on Dad Batch season, or I screwed it up right there. Well, Bad Batch season 2, the Dad Batch, because it's really just a bunch of clones trying to be dads this season, and that in itself is a very funny concept, but the action goes up another notch this season, and I was really thrilled throughout the entirety of the episodes that it's just a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching the show this season, which I don't know if I had as much fun watching it the first time. Like I was invested, you know, because I've watched the Clone Wars, I've watched Rebels, you know, I have the backstory and all this, so I was invested. I love Star Wars. I'm gonna watch it, but I didn't have fun watching it. I finished it in its entirety because it's a Star Wars project. But this season, I have fun with this show. So if that's the one thing I could say, it's a good time.
It was one of those things that when I received the screeners, it was kind of like I was excited to watch the show week to week, but dang, I got to watch all 14 of these so I can write something up. Like, this is going to be a bit of a chore. And then by episode 2, I was like, all right, no, I need to get back to my Bad Batch. I need to get back to my Bad Batch because I want to finish it because I was hooked. Rob, what makes season 2 a step up? Why should people be watching it?
Gosh. The biggest selling point, I think, for Bad Batch overall is the basic question that I know a lot of Star Wars fans have always asked is, where did all the clone troopers go? We go from clone troopers, and then the next time we see them in the main films as stormtroopers. What happened to all those clone troopers? Because there was an absurd amount of them made. That's always been the biggest selling point for Bad Batch, I think, for knowing what happened to a majority of the clone troopers and how they were phased out or gotten rid of. But I think specifically for season 2, it goes even a little bit deeper into that and gives you some more personal moments with this. I guess you could still call them newer group of clones that we've really gotten to know, and really delving into the family aspect, which is something that I think the Clone Wars was always really good at, is personifying and giving these clones personalities. But I think the biggest selling point for me of season 2 is definitely seeing all clones in a deeper way than we've seen before, because we've seen squadrons that are like families. Now we have an actual family of clones, I would say, and I think that's it.
The familial aspect, I think, is definitely the biggest appeal on a micro standpoint. From episode to episode, they grow together, they mourn together, they win together, they lose together. One of the things that I think will draw viewers once they know that it's happening, keeping this spoiler free, but giving the best kind of tease that I can here. People looking for connectivity are going to be excited about this one. People looking for the ability to fill in gaps and theorize all the way from prequel through sequel on. There's a lot that kind of starts to connect together. And I think that to me is what is most exciting, is we're finally starting to bring all of these different corners of the galaxy together in one, focusing on something outside of just the Skywalker saga. And it's a very, very interesting route they're going with this.
I think for me, and a lot of the problem I had with season 1, and I don't want to say like because like I enjoyed it overall. It just wasn't necessarily the best Star Wars project, but a lot of issue it had was like a cameo of the week kind of feel, like who's popping in this week. It's just a new mission every week, and there's a bit of that in this season, but I definitely don't feel like any of the cameos were just like ham hocked in there. Like I feel like a lot of it really worked out really very well, and then they have to go on missions, but that doesn't feel like the main sauce of it anymore. There's a lot more substance, and it definitely connects to a lot more things on a deeper level. Like the first season starts out with them like seeing a young Caleb Doom, which was super cool if you're a Rebels fan, but it's also just like, this is you need to watch the show, and this is why, and it rests a lot more narratively this season, and they did a really good job with that. And so I'm a huge fan of the upgrades.
Something about the family aspect is what drops people to the Bad Batch. I talked about that with director and the director and the head writer. I don't want to screw up their names off the top of my head, and so head to agentsfandom.com and our YouTube page to check out my interview with the director and the writer for the Bad Batch, because we dove into that as well. Adam, I want to bring you in for your take here on what you thought of the first 3 episodes before we dive in here, because you're all caught up. This is fresh in your mind. We're pitching to people, you need to be watching Bad Batch season 2. Do you feel the same way after 3 episodes?
100%. I'll say one thing that a nitpick that I had with the first season. They did a pretty good job, focusing on the whole Omega and the Hunter relationship, and a little bit with Omega and Wrecker as well. And I kind of wanted to see them build that out a little bit with, a few of the other people, a few of the other clones that were in the Bad Batch. And so far, they're like, even through 3 episodes, they're doing a much better job of that through the first 3 episodes of season 2 than they did with season 1 at all. Like, she's already building like a great relationship with these other clones. And on top of that, we're seeing Omega learning from them and like learning to be her own member of the group in her own way, in so much like in a way that we didn't really get to see in the first season at all. So I would definitely recommend it so far.
I think that was really well said, specifically with Omega. The first season, she was kind of just like an add-on to this team that they had to take care of. That was her job, right? Like that was their job, right? She's always getting in some kind of shenanigans. They got to save her, or she's
ruining the missions.
Exactly.
And they're having to stop the missions to like protect her and save her, and so that like throws off it rests more on like her abilities this season and letting her, become a member of the group, and that's a really intriguing thing to watch.
100%. I think she becomes a full-blown member of the Bad Batch here throughout this season. But let's talk about episode 1 and episode 2, because these two kind of tie together. They premiered together. I want to throw this to you first, Rob. We got the crew. Time has passed. Sid needs something stolen. We're back with our kind of original gang storyline here, new and improved with the extra familial bonds.
Oh man, episodes 1 and 2. Actually, when I first watched them, they didn't strike me as anything crazy. It just felt like we're going on another mission. I did love the what they had to capture, though. That was really really cool. But one thing I will say is clear from the first 2 episodes is that season 1 had, I feel like, a lot of identity issues on whether it was its own show or if it wanted to be known as a Clone Wars sequel / spinoff series. And I think that was what brought it down a lot in the first season. But it's very clear from the first 2 episodes that the Bad Batch is its own series now, and that it brings its own stakes and world building to the table. And it just happens to share the Clone Wars art style now. And I think that was the biggest strength from the first 2, was being able to set an example for itself amongst a bunch of other similar projects that Star Wars has made.
I agree with you. And Garrett, I'll throw it to you with about what they were stealing, because even we'll talk for kind of full spoilers now into these first 3 episodes. This is where the connectivity begins. One of the two main leading forces of the Tales of the Jedi shorts were, of course, our favorite parts with Ahsoka, but getting to see Dooku's fall through the Jedi Order and what made him want to separate is a very, very interesting arc that we got in the Tales of the Jedi series. And now it's a point in time that he's already fallen, he's already gone, and his lair is just chilling, and they need to steal some shit, and that's what the Bad Batch is all about.
Yeah, and so they go to steal his war spoils, essentially what he's taken and won from battles, and what we eventually find out he's also taking from the citizens of Sereno, where they are. And I loved seeing the Ahsoka parts of Tales of the Jedi, but for me it was a little bit more intriguing to watch the Dooku parts, because we didn't know like a lot of, or we haven't seen a lot of this, right? And this depicts another part of his life, right? After he's already fallen, he's already evil, he's already a piece of shit. And so we're happy to, we're like, yeah, we want to see this shit taken away from him. But also there's implications there to it, right? Because the Empire thinks that Clone Force 99 is dead, and putting themselves in this big of a crosshair is what eventually I feel like I'm having to rein myself back from a cliff right now from not saying too much, but it sets up some really interesting things for the rest of the season, the trajectory of the rest of the season.
And through episode 3, we get to see the other side of the Bad Batch that left that group. Crosshair, who you just previously mentioned in that wonderful, wonderful pun. And that was the most exciting part about episode 3, was the return of another clone that we know and love from the Clone Wars, Commander Cody. Commander Cody is back. Rob is fist pumping. Garrett has the new stream deck, and we got the applause.
And the crowd's going wild.
Snaps for Commander Cody. Rob, take it away. What went through your mind when you saw this favorite clone of ours return?
I'm gonna be the Glep Shido guy here, and I'm gonna say I teared up, man. I teared up. I remember days when at my old elementary school, our playground was just asphalt. There was no playground to play on, so we had to imagine. And me and my 3 friends would be Rex, Cody, and Fox. And I was always Cody, and Cody was always the best to me. And I feel like Bad Batch was the one place we would have expected him to show up in. But it's just so nice to see it. It's just so nice to see it and have it be real and know that Cody's there. Cody's back. We're blessed. It was great. I think love him come in is great.
I love the perspective he gives at the end too, right? He says, like, we're different because we have to live with these decisions. Like, you can follow orders all you want, and obviously we know that he takes a shot at Obi-Wan, in Revenge of the Sith. He's a active part of Order 66, and then to see him be the one to kind of give this perspective to Crosshair of like, yeah, I get it, because I've done some shit in my past and it still like weighs on me, and that's the difference between us and droids, or things that don't, we carry this with us, and so that's really poignant. It's a really poignant end to this first 3 episodes, and I'm going to shut myself up again before I say things I shouldn't.
Damon in chat asking, why do we like the guy who tried to take out Kenobi? It wasn't his fault.
Why do we still like Rex? Why do we still like Rex? Because these things happen. It's not their fault. It's not their fault.
Yeah, there's definitely nuance to it, right? It's not like I hate Obi-Wan, I'm gonna take him out. These are people that were like deep relationships, right? They were battling day in and day out for like years. They were best friends. This is their generals, right? And so it's not just like, why do we hate this guy? He tried to kill us. Like it's way deeper than that, right? And so that's what I love about this.
If I can interject here,
Please.
Damon said Rex didn't do it. He didn't go through with it. Rex
He
and
does,
Ahsoka's relationship is not comparable to any other Jedi and clone relationship. If that was any other Jedi there, Rex would have fully followed through and shot her instead of crying. So that's
100%.
a special occasion.
This is why we bring in Rob. He gives me shivers because not only is his knowledge next level, but this shit means something to him. And so, Rob, it's so great to have you here. Producer Adam bringing up a great point in chat. We can't hate Rex. We can't hate Cody. We hate the inhibitor chips.
We do.
They are to
We hate
blame.
Palpatine.
Yes.
We hate Palpatine. Exactly. We even still like Anakin. He may have slaughtered a bunch of younglings with a saber, but we still love some Anakin. The first 3 episodes of the Bad Batch bring in two totally different perspectives. We get the Crosshair and Cody dynamic, who of course separated, and the Bad Batch with Omega being fully part of the family and not just a member that is constantly not the donkey to their Shrek. Now she's a full-on part of the team. And so it's nice to see that development, and you should be checking out the first 3 episodes of the Bad Batch because this season only gets better and better as we go here. It's time for some Agents of Analysis, even though that's technically what we kind of just did with the last 3 episodes of the Bad Batch. This is when we're going to be breaking things down, but we're going to do it again here because our orders swapped with the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania trailer, because this is the 3rd one we've gotten now. This was the most Kang-heavy trailer we've gotten, and that's kind of what opened for it. That really just like brought me into it was Jonathan Majors' voiceover narrating throughout this. Garrett, what did this new Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer do for you? We're a month out here. Is your anticipation building?
My anticipation, excuse me, is building. Yeah, definitely. And I'm happy for that because I had like kind of a rocky trip towards my anticipation for this movie, because obviously I had found out some information like a long time ago from someone who saw a test screening, and that affected that has affected my opinion for a long time. But kind of like it's very similar to the Andor situation. When they announced Andor as a show, I'm like, oh, I'm not that stoked for this. And then the trailers kept coming out, and I was like, oh shit, this looks kind of bad. This looks like really badass. And then obviously now the entirety of it's come out, and it's a top tier Star Wars project, no debate. So that's kind of how I feel about my anticipation ramping up for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It started out as like, oh man, is that what's gonna happen? And then everything that's come out since then has led me to be really stoked. And then obviously I have to say too, something extra that gets me excited about the movie is that gonna be watching it with a bunch of friends. So that's something that's definitely piquing my anticipation.
Not only is it Garrett and TJ meetup number 2, but the Slave Vendor squad plus Jaden plus Garrett with some Agents of Fandom infiltration heading down to California for a fun trip. And of course, that's going to be one of the highlights, is getting to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania all together. Shout out to the group in chat. Fired up right now. This is going to be so much fun to all see each other for the first time in person, give some hugs, watch one of our favorite movies, build some lightsabers at the Star Wars place at Disney. It's going to be a lot of fun. Rob, what did you think of this trailer, and did Jonathan Majors strike fear into your heart when he began speaking?
Yeah, I mean, the Ant-Man trailer I thought was phenomenal. It's giving me seeing Thanos in the Infinity War trailer for the first time kind of vibes. I've been a huge fan of Jonathan Majors since Lovecraft Country. When I found that show, they need to bring that back also. But after finding him there and then kind of watching his career, and then I saw he when he got casted as Kang, and now we're here, and he's terrifying. He's menacing. Uh, I will say, will I dare say, more menacing than Thanos has ever felt through this trailer. Knowing the scale of his abilities, if depending on the outcomes of this movie, and probably because we have 2 Avengers movies that he's gonna be in. So, yeah, this movie is gonna be big. I think it's gonna be very, very big for the future.
One of the things I think that makes Kang so sinister, and we've barely seen him. We've seen Kang in this trailer. We've seen He Who Remains in Loki. We've seen some clips. We've seen some pressers, but we've barely seen this man. And I think what makes him so sinister is just we have no idea how this is all going to unfold, how he's going to win, lose, how they're going to win. At the end of the day, with Thanos, we knew, well, at least there's Thor and Carol who can like somewhat kind of fight him if they can get him in this situation. But like, this isn't somebody they're going to overpower because 12 of them can overpower him. This is somebody that's going to be not just outsmarting them in one universe, but in all of the universes. And this is where we're going to meet him. This is where we're going to set the stage. And it's super thrilling because I agree with you. He is, I think, more scary to me than Thanos was when we were first getting him. On the Ant-Man side, one of the parts that I kind of caught my eye in the trailer is Cassie getting pulled out of jail. This door sliding and Cassie getting pulled out of jail. I'm assuming she was stealing something. Maybe she was stealing something because she wanted to build something, and I bet it was for a good cause. Kind of back in her dad's footsteps, and Scott's probably sitting there going, I do need more time. My daughter's turning into me. Like, I got to fix this. What happened to my little girl? Which is obviously the point of the trailer that they're pointing to, that like, oh, maybe Scott helps out Kang here for something because he needs some more time with his little baby girl. Garrett, what did you think about that aspect of the trailer? Do you think I'm on the right track here?
Yeah, that sounds really good. And I'm actually going to go ahead and assume that he follows through with this deal and gets up to a point where the terms of this deal have changed, right? And that's why we get to we had a deal. Because it seems like he does retrieve whatever thing he needs to retrieve, and then, you know, something changes from there, and that's what leads to the fight with shirtless Kang, which, whew, sheesh, I could watch that all day. I could watch that all day.
I agree with you, and sorry, I was reading chats and you ended quicker than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, story of my life, dude.
Rob's, come on, man. It's the first show of the year.
We're coming in 2023 with fire, man. We're coming in hot.
Anyways, Mo said in chat, was anybody else under the impression that the vast multiversal war talked about in Loki season 1 was going to take place in Kang Dynasty Secret Wars? I kind of assumed it was Secret Wars.
Yeah,
like
Secret
that's
Wars, I think is what it is.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Agents of Fandom After Dark, Adam says in chat. It's worth noting that Jamie Durak's second shout out of the episode, but she thought her prediction for the year is that Jonathan Majors will be named the sexiest man alive of 2023, and I just think he's got this in the bank. Between all these different projects he's got coming out and the amount of time he's shirtless in it, this guy has got that in the absolute bank. But him stealing something from Kang, Garrett, as you were alluding to, it's got me thinking part of this movie is going to be heisty because that's what the Ant-Man franchise is. And so him having to steal something would make a lot of sense. One of the theories I brought up a long, long time ago on this show And the reason I said long is because we had Agent Carlos bringing up from somebody else. He was like, "Oh, I just heard this." I was like, "Man, do you even listen?" Or I just thought of this. I was like, "Man, do you even listen to our podcast?" Come on. We've been talking about this one, but the potential correlation between these devices we're seeing in the quantum realm that Kang uses with the 10 rings from Shang-Chi, with Kamala's bangles. Do we think that we're going to see either of these two in this movie with Scott trying to go steal something from them? What do you think, Rob?
Uh, I don't think so, but it's very clear that they're connected in some form. I think what Scott is going to help Kang do in the quantum realm is going to help him get out of the quantum realm. But then when he's on the surface, he's going to need the 10 rings. He's going to need the bangles for his time chair, for his machine, whatever it is, to then really start to wreak havoc in what we will probably see as Kang Dynasty. I think there's like 2 levels to it.
Okay, I just have a clarification here from Mo. He's saying the multiversal war that he's talking about is the one that Miss Minutes speaks about in episode 1 of Loki.
That already happened, though, didn't it? It happened in the past before the He Who Remains cleaned everything up.
Which is what I think they're both going to be, right? Like the one that already happened, I think is the one that's going to happen.
Okay.
I think they're the same.
I don't think they are, though.
Or will one be the one version of Secret Wars that happened in the comics, and will the second one be the other Secret Wars that we have seen in comics? I think that's maybe they could tell like a flashback of sort of 2 different stories how this has happened here. I think that would be interesting because essentially we're going to get some type of adaptation, and it's not going to be a 1-for-1 of either of these comics. It's going to be something in the middle of it. But the next part of the trailer that I want to get to, if my face idea opens up here, we get multiple Scotts as he pops into different people, Kang seeing his power. We got Scott turning into spaghetti just like he's John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic, but we also get multiple Scotts. Is this the movie we are going to get to see multiple Kangs? Or is this the first Kang we are going to see, and then maybe that's how this is going to be ending? That's how what we're going to see something in post-credit scenes. Where do you think the multiple Kangs are going to come in here, Garrett?
I think we should throw this one to Adam because he had said something pretty interesting earlier on that I think we should get his opinion on.
Bringing on in Adam. Adam, what do you think about the Council of Kangs? Is multiple Kangs coming in this movie, or is this something that's not happening until closer to Kang Dynasty?
Well, first off, I hope so. I definitely hope we get to see multiple Kangs in this movie. But I did have the idea earlier that, people have been talking about a lot of the conversations surrounding this is like, well, if this is our next big bad villain of the MCU, how is he struggling with Ant-Man? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. But I can see them doing this kind of thing where at the end of the movie, I really don't see Scott killing Kang. That just doesn't seem like the kind of thing Scott would really do, unless it's something to save Cassie. But say Kang doesn't die by the end of it and he just fails his mission. I can see some other situation where like the real Kang, the Kang that we're going to be introduced to later, like the central focus of Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty, comes in and just like runs amok of him and is just ashamed of him and just like kills him, humiliates him. Like, I can't believe that you failed to you couldn't take care of Ant-Man. Like, I think that could make for a really cool post-credit scene. Like, maybe it takes place right after the movie. Like, you see Kang just kind of getting up from his last fight, like realizing he failed, and the real Kang steps out of a portal and just destroys him. I think that could make for a really, really good post-credit scene that could get people fired up about what's to come.
Could get people fired up about what's to come, and I think it would add more poignancy to that line of Scott's in the trailer. I don't have to win. I just have to make sure you lose too. It was hard hitting. We got to see, I don't know if we're going to see different Kangs, but we got to see both comic book Kang in the full costume and some sleeveless Kang with the muscles beating the shit out of Scott. who wins, Rob? Because a lot of these people are thinking, like, this is one of the first movies in a minute that I've seen that, like, before it even begins, more people are Team Kang than are Team Scott at this point. More people are cheering for the villain to win that I have ever seen because of this Jonathan Majors phenomenon. Is it a double loss? Is Scott going to follow through? Is that a misdirect through the trailer? Like, the reason I'm asking is because I'll give you some more time to think on this because you got the pondering face on. We've heard a lot of chat about, did this trailer give away too much? Because I've seen a lot of people saying that. And the reason I think it doesn't is, although this trailer gives away a lot of action, one of the, I can't remember who specifically it was, director or producers, but there was a quote coming out of that this is going to have like Captain America Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War level repercussions. It's not just a contained Ant-Man movie like they've been in the past. It's going to have major repercussions. And so that's why I don't think we've really seen all that much. And Kang winning could really be a way of unleashing those repercussions.
I think Kang wins. I think, and I hate the Infinity War comparison here, but I really think it could have like an Infinity War ending kind of feel. Not as so dramatic with the repercussions, but I could see Kang winning, him kind of giving a scary monologue to Scott about how he's coming for everyone and everything, and then kind of dipping out with whatever powers he has just out of the quantum realm. And now Scott has this information in the same way that Iron Man did with Thanos from New York, that there is something coming bigger than Thanos. And now, in the same way that Hulk and Iron Man had to relay the information to the rest of the heroes on Earth, I think we will now start to see Scott showing up to random heroes, and even, I would say, maybe even Captain America, and going to Sam and being like, hey, dude, you got to do something and you got to get the band back together because there's something coming and we have to be ready. And I think it's going to be kind of like that.
Rob seems to be team Scott makes it through this one. The chat seems to want Wasp to be the one who dies. I think it's kind of hilarious that Evangeline Lilly, with all of the negative publicity she's been in, I don't think she had a line in that trailer. Ant-Man and the Wasp is the title, but I don't think she had a line in that trailer, which is a little bit funny. Garrett, are you team Scott makes it through? Are you team Wasp makes it through? What do you think?
I'm half and half. I don't know. I've thought about it a lot, and I definitely see a world where Scott doesn't make it through, and like we have a Kang who wins and a Kang who like gets everything he needs to become the next big bad. And then obviously we know like there's a time difference in the quantum realm than there is in the actual MCU. So like part of me has a thought that like Kang ends the film winning and then leaving the quantum realm, coming into the MCU. And then that's Secret Wars, or that's Kang Dynasty, but that's not obviously until a couple years in the future. But since time works different in the quantum realm, like we end there, and then the anticipation is just building until that gets left on. But then I don't know. I part of me also wonders like if an Ant-Man can beat a Kang in just one movie. So if there's not a multiple Kang situation, I don't know. I think it can go a lot of ways, and based on things that I have already known in the past, I'm not going to speculate anymore.
And I think what both of you brought up kind of sets the stage for the question. Like, this movie will set the stage to answer the question for what a lot of people have been asking for all of these Phase 4 projects, which is just, well, where are the Avengers? Why is nobody calling the Avengers in here? Because they don't exist right now.
They're broken.
There is no Avengers team. There's a Captain America who just became Captain America again. There's a Spider-Man trying to figure out how to live in a world where nobody knows who the heck he is. Captain Marvel's probably off planet. She was off planet probably until she bounced back into Kamala's room, and we're still waiting to see what happened. Thor, we saw what was going on with him in the Dark World. He's out parenting in space right now and mourning the death of Jane. Like, there's no team. There is no Avengers right now. And so we're going to see potential recruitment, but also I think kind of setting the stage for some young Avengers, some West Coast Avengers, different small groups, some Thunderbolts, multiple small teams. Not this big grouped Avengers that we were kind of thinking may continue after Infinity War. Multiple different small teams. I see Adam has something he wants to bring up here, so let's bring Adam back in. Multiple small teams. What are you thinking? Still muted. Oh, the first rookie producer mistake. That's all right. It was bound to be one.
Muted. There he is.
Oh my god! I clicked the button. I'm sorry. Rookie mistakes across the board. Well, my theory wasn't really as much with the small teams or anything like that. I wanted to echo something Garrett was talking about earlier. I thought it would be really, and it's something I hadn't really thought about. This idea, we know about time working differently in the quantum realm and everything like that, but what's the timeline looking like for when, say, Scott survives this movie and he gets out of the quantum realm? When do we think that's going to be? Like, how far in the future could that be for him? I mean, is there a possibility, or how far back in the future? I know a lot of people are talking about like the Fantastic Four movie potentially being some kind of set piece, maybe back in the 60s or the 70s or something like that. Is it possible that Scott Lang comes out of this movie 30, 40, 50 years forward or backward in time? Like, I don't know. That seems like it could be an interesting thing to dabble in. Yeah, maybe what about a post-credit scene idea where Scott steps back, or Scott comes out of the quantum realm way, way back in time, and he's like back in the 60s, and he looks over, and then that's how they reveal the Fantastic Forecast, because they're, and then that's how it leads into the movie that's set, 50 years in the past. I don't know, just ideas. There's some ideas. Spitball.
Because it's time, and Kang being the master of time, there's so many different routes that they can take this. It's truly incredible to consider. Yeah, the past, the future. We can see heroes that have never been introduced yet. We can see parents and grandparents of heroes and see how stories have developed and see different people we never imagined meeting each other. And not just in short past, but different universes. Time travel and multiversal travel are essentially the same thing in this universe. And so with that being the case, we can see time travel that leads to seeing totally different Avengers teams, etc. And so it really could go any which way here. Rob, before we close this out, the last piece from the trailer that I think is really important to talk about is MODOK. The MODOK reveal. It's not only did we get our first main look at MODOK with his mask and everything, but I don't think it's a secret anymore. I think we can talk about it. Yeah. Corey Stoll is back, and now he's MODOK. We got to see the big, stupid face mashed in there. It looked big and stupid. Guess what? MODOK is supposed to look stupid. It's not going to look super cool. He's supposed to look like a big head mashed in a jar dummy. What did you think of this little reveal?
Oh man, I mean I love it. I'm a big kind of like fantastical elements kind of guy when it comes to Marvel. So seeing MODOK, who is just the most unbelievable character, be able to come into the MCU is awesome. And I am hoping that he is not one and done for this movie. Okay, you've changed the origin, and now Darren Cross is MODOK. Darren Cross ran a company before, Cross Industries. Let's bring MODOK back in, and just let's act like Iron Man 3 didn't happen, or that was some separate company, and let's do AIM. Let's get like the yellow jacket freaking hazmat suits, the yellow and black. I mean, it all fits. Yellow jacket, Darren Cross company, the yellow and black AIM. Yeah, come on, let's do it. We got to make it happen.
I love that. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I love it.
I
I'm
would
just
love it. I
not.
need those.
I'm not the most convinced that that's going to happen.
Second Ant-Man trilogy right there.
I'm
MODOK versus Ant-Man.
surprised. I'm surprised you don't. You do love that, Garrett. I thought you would have AIM PTSD from the Avengers game.
Oh God.
No,
That
you see,
MODOK's not
because
half bad.
no, you see, because the one silver lining of that game is that it has a good story.
Yes.
But that has nothing to do with why I hate the game. I hate the game because it sucked upon release. It has shitty mechanics, and it's bad. It's not fun.
It's too repetitive. Great story.
But
though. Great story.
anyway, yeah, agreed. Great story.
First show of the year, we brought in some changes, but I had to show you guys we are still the same show. This is still the same Agents of Fandom, just back in better than ever, trashing the Avengers game. Make sure when you head over to agentsoffandom.com, you click on the Agents of Change tab. We have so many great articles up there right now. We've been featuring more and more content. Hopefully going to be doing some boots on the ground projects here in our communities soon. But the one I want to feature right now is our own producer Adam's latest article on the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award in the NFL. And Cam Hayward. Adam, why don't you pop back in and tell us a bit about that article and some of the things that Cam Hayward has been doing in his community, Pro Bowl NFL defensive end.
Oh man, I got to tell you guys, I got a little bit emotional, not a little bit. I got very emotional writing that article and reading about some of the stuff that Cam has done. I've known, when you hear somebody's nominated for something like that, naturally, you know that they're a good person and they're doing good things. But then you read about some of that stuff, and I'm trying to write it. Man, to not only be helping, so many people, but to get that sign off from all of his teammates and to like be involving his teammates within the projects that he's doing, helping feed, young kids in Pittsburgh and all across Pennsylvania that need food and, need help. And helping them find shelter, but also there's plenty of people on like that next level that, say they have food and they have shelter that are also, he wants to help these kids get out into the real world. And that's where Craig's Closet kind of comes in. He's helping dress young men and prepare them, young men and women, I believe, dress them and prepare them for interviews to go out into the real world and make an impact and succeed and do all kinds of stuff like that. So it's really awesome, man. Cam's a great dude. He's been on Phase Zero, a few times. Everybody loves him. So everybody go to Twitter and hashtag WPMOY for Walter Payton Man of the Year and put the name Hayward in there to give him a vote.
Final, wonderfully said, Adam. Definitely check out that article. Get on Twitter, vote Walter Payton Man of the Year Challenge, Cam Hayward. Final segment of the day here before we get out of here, and that is the Samard Spotlight. And we love Ted Lasso. It's a phenomenal show, and it gave us a delightful quote. We used to believe that trees competed with each other for light, but Suzanne Samard's fieldwork challenged that perception. We now realize that the forest is a socialist community. Trees do not compete with each other for sunlight. They grow. And they build a community where all the people in the community, all the trees in the community can grow together and don't have to be tearing each other down, don't have to be knocking over each other's branches to be the tallest tree out there. They know that there's enough sunlight for everyone. And so this new segment's where we're going to spotlight someone in the industry, sometimes within our own team, but often outside of our team, knowing that all of these outlets can thrive together and we can all be a just big, nice group of friends. First one of the year is going to be on our guest, Rob, who just does amazing work for Streamr News. And not just Rob, but the entire Streamr community in general. We know we got editor-in-chief Mo in the chat right now. They're some friends of ours. They do great work. Rob, tell us what you've been up to, how you're not just the number one Star Wars go-to guy for us, but you got a big catalog of work over there as well.
Lately I actually just put out an article kind of doing a deep dive into Daredevil Born Again, the comic storyline by Frank Miller. And that's what I'd say has took up a bit of my time lately. it's a pretty big article. If you can go check it out, you can find it at Streamr News on Twitter or thestreamer.com or my Twitter at robsauerweinx. Um, but yeah, here at Streamer, we love you guys here at Agents of Fandom. You guys are the best. I'm glad we can be buddies, and yeah, it's always a pleasure to come on board and chat with you, man.
You as well, Rob. Check out Streamer News on socials, thestreamer.com, for Rob's content and all of our good friends over there. So many tabs up. Got to bounce back and forth to having a script. I'm not used to having one, but it's time for level 7 lockup. Make sure you're following the Agents of Fandom on all the socials. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content. You can find all the Agents of Fandom shows on our podcast network, including Fandom Academy, soon to be covering The Last of Us, The Critics, Ticket to Reality with some brand new Circle Netflix interviews. Season 5 of The Circle is now streaming on Netflix. We got Shubham, we got Raven, we got Sam, all the favorites from Season 5 of The Circle's cast, and it's a whole lot of fun. So make sure you check us out, as well as the Listen 3000 podcast, and of course us, the Agents of Fandom podcast, on Spotify, Apple, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Check out aofandom.com, aofandom.com, or just go to agentsoffandom.com and click store, because we got all kinds of awesome merch that you can buy. I'm not wearing my Agents of Fandom hoodie right now because sometimes Rugrats takes priority, but you can find some awesome merch up there. And we also have some giveaways coming. We got some real fun giveaways going right now. We've given away our first Funko on Twitter already. I'm announcing our first Instagram giveaway winner and our second Twitter giveaway winner for some nice... Oh, I'll get my vitamin water out of the way here. Some nice Black Panther Wakanda Forever Funko Pops. I got Nakia, I got Atuma, I got Namora, Okoye, Ironheart, as well as Queen Ramonda, all going to be given away. And all you have to do is make sure you're following us on socials, each social, and follow is an entry into the giveaway. Every retweet on the tweets or share of the Instagram post for said giveaway, it's an entry. And if you want to have a really, really good chance, you want to make sure you're winning. Those who are visual learners and are watching this on YouTube or on Twitch, you get a little bit of a bonus. Take your phone here, get your nice little Iron Man case, your nice little background of your dogs, flip it open, and, head over to Apple Podcasts if that's what you use. Give us oh, look at that. I got the Listen 3000 one up there, right up nice and first. Leave a nice 5-star review. Write in a nice little rating on Apple, or take a screenshot of your 5-star rating on Spotify, and that'll give you 10 plus entries into the giveaway to win one of these Wakanda Forever Funkos. We will ship them right to your door, no problem. It really helps us out a lot to battle these internet algorithm overlords. What's up, G?
TJ, you want to know what my favorite part about that this giveaway is, and that we've already given one away and it's ongoing, is that to reach it, to unlock it, we had to hit 2,000 followers on Twitter. So that's what a year of growth does for you, and that's a really exciting milestone for us and for everyone on the team. So I just want to say thank you to all our supporters, all our community, but especially our team, who work tirelessly every day to pump out content and to just be general, all around awesome humans. So this giveaway is to celebrate that, and just thank you all, really.
Thank you all to follow. Thank you all who are part of this team. We are not just Agents of Fandom. We are Agents of Family, and it's so great to be to have all of you as a part of this family. Rob's yawning. I'm getting tired. We got to get ourselves out of here because I said 45 minutes maximum, and it's already been an hour. So thank you to everyone who is tuning in on behalf of myself, Garrett, my wonderful co-host, Rob, our amazing guest, and our two wonderful producers, Ruben and Adam. Thank you to everyone who tuned in, and we will see you next week. Peace.
Peace.